Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's card making video, I'm looking at the July kit of the month from Pink Main. This is the Farmer's Market kit. Let me dust this thing off because, like I said, it's from July, and this kit was gifted to me by one of my YouTube followers, and I was so blessed by this and so thankful, and I just really wanted to take some time to play with it. And so I'm really excited that I was able to break it out and play with all of these super cool things in this Pink Main kit. They go above and beyond. I mean, there are some really fun textured papers in here, glittered papers, and then also all this crafty goodness in that zipper pouch. I love that pouch. I will definitely be using it. I also love that it came with some white heavyweight cardstock so I could make some super sturdy card bases. So now let's look at all the stuff inside here. Now Pink Main does have kits every month, and they are different. They're similar to this as far as what's included. There was some tape there, some glitter tape. We have some embellishments that are sequins, like the flat back sequins. We have enamel dots. There's always a postcard like this that tells you what's in the kit, and then a color palette, and it has something cute on the one side, so you could really make that into a card if you wanted. There's a 6x6 paper pad with 24 sheets. There is this 6x6 embossing folder that's wood grain, which I am completely in love with. There's also this Farmer's Market stencil and a die set. Now this die set coordinates with the stamp set in that it cuts out the banner, but then you can also cut out the images that are scenes with those rectangles that have the cute little corners and stitching. You can use the two of those dies together to create a frame, which I'm going to do today. But when I looked at this kit, I was like, I need to make some shaker cards because it creates a frame and there's sequins. So we're going to make 3 shaker cards 3 different ways today. And all of my cards are going to be 5.5 by 5.5 inches square. And then I used some of that textured paper in that light yellow and embossed it with that wood grain. And then I used the 2 rectangle dies once together to create my brown frame and once by itself to create a white piece that's actually Bristol smooth paper, because I'm going to be using some water brush pens. And there you saw my little window sheet that's going to fit behind it. So I'm stamping this with VersaFine Onyx black ink onto my Bristol smooth paper, and I'm using my real brush pens from Arteza. These are like a paintbrush on the end, super fine. The color flows from them very easily. They blend together like you're going to see here. I'm adding in a darker color and then going back with my lighter and blending that out. But they work best on a very smooth paper like Bristol Smooth. So that's what I'm using to color these. And they will also blend with water. So I will be using, you'll see in a minute, blending out with just a blending brush that has no color in it. It's like a marker with no color. I'm going to be using that as well. So I'm just using 2 different colors. I'm not putting the colors on there. I believe I have the 48 pack of these real brush pens from Arteza. If you are familiar with Zig clean color real brush pens, these are like those, very similar to those. And they do have a variety of different size packs of pens you can get from Arteza at a really good price point. So if you haven't checked them out and you want to try these kind of real brush pens, this is a good option for you if you don't want to invest a ton of money but still have a good quality pen. So I'll link them for you below, as well as this kit that is still available. You can buy it individually, not as a subscription box, but as this standalone kit. All right, so I just clipped the corners off of my window sheet, and then I'm going to add some double stick tape around this frame. This is about 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm also putting down some glue so I have a little bit of wiggle room when I put this on. I'm going to just give that a second to dry under a heavy block while I get the rest of my shaker ready. So I'm going to use these little sequin mix pack that came in the kit. I tried to color my images so they'd kind of coordinate with that. I'm going to pounce on some anti-static powder from my little tool there, and then I had a little glue seep out. It comes off really nicely with a paper towel, and in then it's ready to go. So to create this shaker, we did start with a frame and then a window sheet on the back of that. Next, I'm going to take these super thin strips of foam and create a frame around this window sheet. So it's going to lift my frame off of my paper and create a reservoir for my shaker elements so they do not escape. I had a little bit of that window sheet peeking out the front, so I just trimmed that off before sticking the frame down to my stamped image. Now you can see I did get it a little bit off, so I had a little of that white showing. I'm just going to trim that off with my scissors and you'll never know. Next, I am adding my patterned paper that I cut down to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 to my white card base, and then this strip right here that was embossed with that wood grain folder is going to go right through the middle of my card. Then I can add my little shaker window to my card. So for this card, I created a shaker window that I attached to the card. Next, I'm stamping out my sentiment on some white cardstock, and I'm stamping that banner in some walnut ink by Lawn Fawn, and then the same color for the sentiment, thinking of you. There is a coordinating die to cut this out, which is perfect. I really think it's the best. If you're only going to have one die for this set, this was the best one to have. Next, I'm taking some of those enamel dots in this really light tan color and putting the smallest ones in the 4 corners of my yellow strip. They kind of reminded me of like maybe some little nail heads holding together a crate or something, and I thought it was just a really fun look for this farmer's market themed shaker card. So that's card number 1 right there. I think the barn is really cute and really speaks to me for the fall season. All right, next we're going to add some grit paste. This is the Crypt grit paste from Tim Holtz's Halloween release, but I don't think you have to use it just for Halloween. This really has the look of cement, and I thought in the farmhouse decor that people are so crazy about right now, maybe you are too, there's a lot of decor pieces where people are covering pots and stuff to look like cement. And so I thought it would be really fun to put this on here and have it kind of look like a cement tile. So once that was dry, I took a square die and I cut out the center of it because now I'm going to create a shaker window on my card. I put a little temporary adhesive on that and added it to my card base so that I could trace out this square and die cut the card front because I need it to have a window so that you're going to be able to see through this card to the inside of the card. All right, so once that was done, I traced the square. Now, if you're using any other kind of markers, maybe you would want to stamp on the card itself, but I'm actually going to stamp on a second piece in just a minute that's Bristol Smooth because of the markers I'm using. Right here, I am using that same square die, one bigger, and a stitching die to create a frame to go around the opening of my shaker, just to finish it off and give it a little bit extra detail and something that helps draw your eye into the center. So I am stamping on a piece of Bristol Smooth, a square that's a little bit bigger than the square I traced because I want to use my markers and blend them out, and it really works best on Bristol Smooth. So I colored those with the same color markers I used on the first image, and then I'm going to cover up this square completely. Also, if you were using Copics, you might want to stamp on a separate piece because of the bleed through that Copics give. So you can stamp right on the card. Maybe if you were stamping with colored ink, you could do that. All right, so next I added a window sheet on the back of my panel that is stenciled, and then I'm putting foam tape all the way around, again creating a reservoir so none of those sequins can escape the card. And then I added more around the edge so it wasn't flimsy. Next I added a little anti-static powder and more sequins. When I remove the foam tape on the back of this panel, I'm going to add a second window sheet to trap those shaker elements inside, and that way we can see through the card to the inside where that stamped image is. So fun. I love making shaker windows. It's just an added surprise to this card that might be unexpected to the person receiving it. I love little surprises like that. All right, so there you can see a little shaker window and it shakes. You can see the inside, and the image is there when you open it. That cute little windmill scene with another barn. I love that. For this sentiment, I used some of the green cardstock that came in the kit, and I stamped it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And then I have a nice sentiment to put at the top of this card. I put it a little bit over the frame, and I thought that looked really good too. This frame, by the way, was about 3 inches squared. Next, I am stamping a sentiment on the inside to go with it that says, "I hope your day shines." And then it's just below that banner, and it's another element you see both on the outside and on the inside of the card. So that finishes card number 2. Next, we are going to be making a full panel shaker. I wanted to show you, I stamped out my sunflower already, and I have my pieces cut and ready to go. And I stamped out the saying on this textured yellow paper with that walnut ink, and it looks fine now. It's a little textured, so some of it's a little bumpy, but it didn't turn out. So I'm going to show you how I tried to fix that and what happened there in a minute. But first, let's color out this sunflower. You can see I'm using 2 shades of yellow to color out those petals and give them a little variation. It just gives them more depth that way. It's really easy coloring to do, and I think these markers are really satisfying to color with because it is very easy, like I said. So here I'm coloring the center with 3 shades of brown, and then going back with 2 colors to do the leaves, a dark green and a light green. And then you'll see when I do the clouds on this panel that I will be using that blender pen, which is from Tombow, I believe. And it's just like I said, a marker with no color in it, and it blends that out beautifully. You could also use a water brush if you like that better. All right, for my crop, I'm going to bring in some golden brown, and then I will go over the top of it again with a golden yellow on the areas that are supposed to be a little bit darker, and intensify that area a little bit. I also blended out the edge because you're going to be able to see this whole panel, and I just wanted to soften out that edge as it blended out towards the white. All right, so there it is, all finished and ready to go. I'm going to put plenty of glue on the back of this because it's being stuck down to glitter paper. Remember, this pack came with red and gold glitter paper. So this is the packaging for the paper pad, and I just cut it so it's a little bit bigger than my 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch square of patterned paper. And then I'm going to snip the corners off, but I'm leaving just a little bit of the plastic between the corner of the paper and the edge of the plastic. Then I added some double stick tape, and I'm going to fold down 3 of the edges. So I like to do the 2 opposite sides first, and then I add a 3rd strip of that foam tape. It kind of holds down the other 2 that are already folded down, and then I fold down the 3rd, leaving the top open. Now you don't want to fold these in super tight. It needs to have a little bit of wiggle room in order to be a shaker and those bits to move around. So then once the shaker elements are in, which I just pulled some gold sequins from my stash, you can adhere down that 4th flap, and there you have a full panel shaker. I'm going to add that to my card with some double stick tape as well as liquid adhesive. I'm just a stickler for things that are well adhered, so I do both because it makes me happy. You do you. You put down however much adhesive you like. I just like to use a lot. I put down that sunflower piece with some foam squares, and then you can see here this bled a lot on this textured paper. So I thought I'd try to finish it out with a white gel pen. I wasn't loving how it looked, and then once I laid it there, it just didn't have enough pop for me. So I decided I would redo the banner with blue cardstock that came in the kit and that VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and that was perfect for this card. I saved up that extra piece of plaid paper from when I trimmed out this focal point panel. Words are hard. And I put it on the inside of this card so it'd have a little extra of that fun pattern on the inside. Next, I pulled out that red glitter tape to add to my first original shaker, and that has something on the inside. I didn't add anything extra on the Hello Friend card because remember, that's the window, and it already has a thing on the inside. So I didn't add anything extra there, but there are my 3 shaker cards. You can see the layout of these cards is all the same, but each of them have a little bit different shaker on them. So I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe you learned something new about shaker cards. They're one of my favorite cards to make. So I'm always thinking with every new stamp set, how can I make a shaker out of this? So today I shared 3 ways to do that, and I so love sharing my creations with you. If you liked this video, let me know with a thumbs up. I would love to hear from you in the comments below, and if you're interested in the products I use, they're also linked for you, and there's a visual supply list, so if you want to see them, you can click on that first link to see all the supplies. I thank you so much for stopping by, and happy stamping. Bye!